Prostitution here is illegal, although it's very rampant and very obvious. There are entertainment centers, there are massage parlors everywhere, and so it's accepted. There's a lot of money. It's comparable in the US if you think about the US during Prohibition. During Prohibition, many families that are profitable today, that are running the country today, started out because they were bootlegging. And that's what you've got here. That's what's going on in Thailand. That's what's going on in Bangkok, is that you have a lot of families that are making a lot of money. You've got politicians that are making a lot of money. So they don't necessarily want to see it go away. You've got a lot of foreigners here that are here for that reason. They don't want to see it go away.
In Cambodia, what we generally find are families that are making money from this industry. And in this industry, you often find husbands, wives, even grandparents, generations that have been making money by running an establishment where prostitution is the main source of income.
When I start work, I'm 12 years old. I'm working there because my family, my mom, she don't have enough money, and all my sister, they work at karaoke. So that's why I think that because I love my mom, yeah, and she stay alone, and so I decided to help her.
Many of the girls that enter into the commercial sex industry in Cambodia that are ultimately exploited through prostitution come from poor villages where they've had very little education, they have no job skills. They migrate to the cities looking for work because another factor is the very strong sense of filial piety, the strong sense of the obligation that to support the family that young women have, young teenage women. And so there is a migration then looking for work in the cities, in Phnom Penh, in Sihanoukville, in Siem Reap. And these girls that are looking for jobs have no education, no job skills.
When my second daughter was just 1 month old, I had no money to feed her and no milk to give her. I didn't know what to do. So that's when I went to work at the karaoke bar. I couldn't tell you how upset and sad I was.
For people who have not been in this culture and have not seen it with their own eyes and met those who have been a part of this, it's difficult to understand some of the dynamics. And one of the most difficult dynamics to understand is if the girls are not physically held and locked up and confined somewhere, why would they stay in it? Why don't they just run away? The answer to that question is that some do. Some do run away. We get some of our referrals for our casework from girls who have run away. There are many other girls, though, who feel like, where would they go and what would they do? They feel like once they have been a part of this, that they've completely lost their own self-worth and dignity. They don't imagine that anybody would care about them anymore.
When the children, they get caught up in the sex trade, they get rescued or they get away, they escape. Once in a while you read a story in Bangkok about how somebody escaped and they went to the police. And then where do they go from there? They go back to the family who sold them in to begin with so their family can make more money. Or if they're lucky, they go back to a loving family. But now they've already been victimized to the point to where what else can they do? What else do they know?
And frankly, one of the methods that the traffickers use these days is to make the women and the girls feel like that it's their own choices that have gotten them to where they are. So that when you look at the international definitions of trafficking that talk about elements of recruitment and movement and exploitation, it's a lot easier to get someone to a place of exploitation if they feel like all along the way they're actually making choices themselves, so that when they get to the place of exploitation, instead of blaming or looking at someone else and understanding that you have been tricked, this was all a setup this is the way they lured you into this place. They knew that you would come this way, and they knew you would make these choices, or they hoped you would, and then they knew that they would eventually exploit you. The girls don't have the vantage point, the perspective to see that. Instead, they think, I've gotten myself into this mess. I'm the only one to blame for where I am now. I feel shame. I feel guilty. I've still got to support my family who's expecting money from me. Some of the families don't know what the girls are doing, some do, but the girls feel like, at this point, how do I really choose to get out of this? And when you put on top of that, for many of them, the reality of debt bondage, where they have a debt to pay off, that's real, and then they owe money to families, then that's one of the reasons why, I mean, still you think, okay, I hear that, I understand that, but gosh, if it were me, I would run away. But then if it were you, I mean, you just really ultimately can't put yourselves in the shoes of a 14-year-old Cambodian girl who has grown up with no public education or very little, who has never seen the outside world, who might have never been outside of her own province or village. Those are some of the things that complicate our ability to really get our head around this issue.
Reading for Sai. I was born in Siam Reap. I come from a large family. I have 8 brothers and sisters. We were very poor growing up. When I was young, life was difficult because of the war in Cambodia. Often, there wasn't enough food to eat. My father died when I was 10 years old, and life got even tougher. I had to quit school when I reached just 4th grade, just like my brothers and sisters. I would try to help my mom out by selling things on the street, but our situation was pretty desperate. My mom couldn't really provide for us, so I got married at age 16. A year later, I had a daughter, but didn't know how to take care of her or how to feed her or anything. Because I was poor, my husband's parents didn't like me, and so they took my husband and daughter away from me. They wouldn't let me see my daughter, and I was heartbroken. I moved away and got work as a waitress. I ended up married again, but when my second daughter was just 1 month old, I had no money to feed her and no milk to give her. I didn't know what to do, so that's when I went to work at the karaoke bar. I couldn't tell you how upset and sad I was. I felt really scared my first time at the karaoke bar. I didn't know what to expect. Someone told me that I would be sold and they wouldn't let me go back home. I was scared a lot of time, especially because when guys would take me out to sleep with them, I hated how the customer treated me. Men from all over the world and every age came to the bars. Sometimes customer would not be satisfied with my service, so he hit me or slapped me or tell me to go away. And I didn't like living in the karaoke bar either. No one accepted me or looked out for me. There were 50 or 60 of us women all living together at the bar. I would only leave the karaoke bar to go to the market. The karaoke bar is not good because no one cares about you. No one gives you true love. They all look down on you. I worked there because my life was difficult and I had nothing to give my children. I worked there to survive and to provide for my family.
All my sisters, they work at karaoke. So that's why I think that because I love my mom, yeah, and she stay alone, and so I decided to help her When I start work, I'm 12 years old. It was very difficult because I'm so young and I don't know anything. I just want money for my mom. Sorry. When I work, I have to go with guys, and sometimes I don't want. I skip. So when I go, I have the ladies, she own, she feed the girls and the younger like me. So when I skip the guys and I go back, she slapped me. Yeah, and she told me I have to do that because I work with her. So if I want salary, I have to go with the guys. So that I don't want. So one time I go with the guy and he's not pretty old. He just maybe 30, and then he told me go with him, and then I feel very scared and I don't want. So when I go, he rents a house and he told me go to his house. So he wanna sleep with me. So I said I don't want. So let me go back. And he said no, he don't want. He not let me go. And I said I won't sleep with you. And he said if you want to sleep with me, maybe he kill me or something. It's really scary.
Mian grew up in a family where her father was an alcoholic. He would take the money her mother earned and lose it gambling and drinking. Her siblings would cry because they had no food, and he would beat the children and his wife. In her own words is, I couldn't stand for my mother to cry anymore, and there was nothing else I had, so I sold myself into a brothel. And she sold herself into a brothel in Swai Pai at the age of 14. They locked her in a room, and she waited, because she was a virgin, for a foreign man who would pay a lot of money to be with her. After just a few days, she was brutally raped, and that began her life in the brothel.
So, as child sex slavery grew in Cambodia, it became available in the major tourist areas. So in order for Swai Pak to stay in business, they started to cater to the extreme fringes of sexual perversion, so offering the very young girls and allowing people to exercise kind of strange fetishes like torture and all sorts of weird stuff that most normal people would never even think about or hear of. And here we go, just turning off into a dirt road, and here we are in Swai Pak.
There were organizations coming in here doing great work. They were shutting down brothels and prosecuting pedophiles, and it was stopping centralized trafficking in SWIPOC. But the next phase is stopping decentralized trafficking. Little girls are still for sale here, but there's no more brothels. It pushed it to the fringes to where when people come, he goes, he sits at a coffee shop, the pimp approaches him, he says what he wants, they go get the girl. Police have a hard time tracking that and really building a case against something like that. How you doing? How you doing? Good. So what you doing here? So what you gonna do when you're done with your coffee? What you gonna do when you're done with your coffee? I think you do understand. Not many people come to SWIPOC for coffee. Obviously, he's not gonna admit to being a foreign pedophile, but there's no reason to be in SWIPOC other than that. If he doesn't leave now, the reality is he will rape a child tonight.
Last month, I quit working the karaoke bar and have connected with an organization called Agape. I don't want to be a karaoke girl anymore. Agape is helping me to go to school, and I am studying sewing. I dream of owning my own shop and taking good care of my children.
I got rescued, like the IGM, the organization, they have the trafficker. So they be like a guest, and they come and then they took me and my two friends to go there. And when we arrived to the hotel, they just call to the police and come. And then I feel so scared about that because police, he holds the guns and in front of me, so I was scared. So my friend too. And then have the ladies, like the American, she come to talk with me and told me that she come to help us, and we have nothing wrong. So she help us to go to the organization. So I feel very excited.
I get asked from time to time, related to my own personal motivation to be involved in this kind of work, and there are many. Being around the amazing Cambodian staff that I work with here, that I have the privilege and pleasure to work with, they motivate me, because when I see Cambodians who get these issues and who care about it, and it's their country, and it's not their problem, because there are plenty of people from other countries that are coming and contributing to the problem also. Nobody's pointing their finger and saying, this is your problem, Cambodia, but it truly is a problem that crosses borders and that crosses boundaries and nations. But my staff motivate me greatly. When I started this work with IJM, I wasn't a father, but now I'm the father of an 11-month-old daughter. And those who are parents that I work with, now I see the perspective that they have, that I mean, all of these girls that we've been privileged to rescue or be a part of their rescue are somebody's children, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, and they're treated in such dehumanizing ways here that if you can't get motivated to and realize that if we don't go in and find them, if we don't go in and try to get them out of the places that they're in, who will? Who's going to go get them out of there? And the answer pretty quickly that you run into is it's not a good chance that too many are out there looking for them or wanting to do that. So it's all of that's motivating. All of it's motivating.
My life is different, so I can study and I can have another girls. So now I study English very well and I can speak English Well, I want to help people like Agape help me. So I want to be like doctor, like pharmacist. So that, and if I could, I will help in here in Siem Reap.
The reason I came to Bangkok and the reason that this is such a passion for me is I don't have children. And I think if you could save one child, you've done a lifetime of work. I came to Thailand because I met a girl and I married her here. We decided we don't want children because there's too many children in the world that need help. So we don't have any. But I ran into a girl when I got married here. She's 9 years old. Her mother was captured in Cambodia and drugged into the sex trades, into human trafficking, and she disappeared. To this day, that little girl has never seen her mother since then. I don't want to see that. I want to help where I can.